it with another episode of the Burgers and Brats podcast. Got a lot to break down. The NBA Finals is set. We got the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. So, going to be a pretty good matchup, in my opinion. So, going to be excited for that. That starts next week. We got golf tournament, the RBC Canadian Open. And then live in Oklahoma City, we got the Women's College World Series. The 8 best teams in the country make it to OKC, and that is going to be so much fun. And then the passing of a legend this week, and we're talking about that and more. But before we get started, make sure to follow the podcast on any platform, any streaming service, literally anywhere. Get your podcast at Burgers and Brats, and stay up to date with latest news on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And hopefully you're watching live on millions.co at Burgers and Brats. And check out the podcast website, burgersbratspodcast.com. So let's first start with the NBA. The Celtics first punched their ticket to the NBA Finals, beating the Indiana Pacers in 4 games. The Pacers are now 1-8. They've won 1 game and lost 8 in their entire Eastern Conference Finals history. So they've been there twice. They have a combined 1 win. So not great for Indiana. It's a good season. They made it that far with the league's #1 offense. Just sad it came to an end like that. Thought it would be a much tougher series. I thought it would be much closer, at least 6 games. But no, it should have been. Indiana, they lost in 4. But 3 of the games, they had I believe it was over an 80% chance in 3 of them. They had an 87% chance to win in game, it was 2 or 3. And they had a 94% chance to win in the final 2 minutes in game 1. Ended up blowing it, losing in overtime. So that was really game 1. They should have won, and losing that game just blew the whole series. I mean, you're going up 1-0, you get a win on the road, tides turn there, but no, they lose, and it just sinks the ship before it even gets out of the port. Celtics 7-game winning streak now in the NBA playoffs, 12-2 this postseason. So this is the hottest team in basketball. Now, they've had the easiest test by far. This may have been the easiest easiest playoff run for a team in at least a couple decades. I mean, they went through a Heat team without Jimmy Butler. They went through a Cavs team that lost Donovan Mitchell after a few games. And then Halliburton injured in game 3, kind of towards the end. That game was kind of wrapped, and then they don't have him game 4. But still, maybe not an asterisk yet, but see what happens in this NBA Finals. But still a much easier path than from what previous Eastern Conference teams or even what the Dallas Mavericks went through on their side of the bracket. Great seasons for the Pacers. I mean, #1 offense. You had a long series before this against the Knicks, 7 games. That kind of tired you out. I got you the Eastern Conference Finals kind of wore out there. No Tyrese Halliburton, so I kind of know he lost a lot of faith in winning this series. Al Horford has won 181 playoff games. 181. That is the 3rd most ever without a championship. Top 2, #1 and 2, Karl Malone, John Stockton. They have the most wins in the postseason without a championship ring. So Al Horford could change that this year, and he hopes so. This is Boston's 23rd finals appearance, 2nd all time, and they have 17 titles out of those. That is statistically very good, especially getting all the way to the finals and playing the best team from the other side of the conference. They are tied with the Lakers. Lakers fans are rooting hard for Dallas in this series. They don't want the Celtics to overtake them. Now, most of these Celtics rings are from civil rights and before color television. That's how old these Celtics rings are. I mean, they've had 1 since the 80s, maybe even the 70s, the 08, 09, whatever that year was. That's their last one, and that was their first one in at least 2 decades. So it's been a long time for these Boston fans. Boston has dominated. No stinkers in the Eastern Conference Finals. They looked actually really good. I was kind of a little worried about this Boston team. I'm not worried anymore, especially they're going to get Porzingis back for the finals. Very impressed, especially in the clutch time. That they were down in a bunch of these clutch time minutes late in the fourth. Game 3, I believe they were down by like 20. Maybe it was game 2, but came back and won. And this team looks really good. I'm very impressed with the Boston team. And I'm excited for this finals. On the other side, the Western Conference, Minnesota gets to 5 games. That's it. They get 5 games in this Eastern Conference, in this Western Conference Finals. This was their second appearance ever. Really, really kind of a toss-up when this series started. I picked Dallas in this one. I definitely did not think it'd be a sweep. It was a close series though. Minnesota had a lead in the final 5 minutes of every single game besides this last one, and they still lost this series in 5. They had a lead in every single game, one through 4, and ended up losing those games. So, clutch time with the Celtics, clutch time with the Mavericks. Both teams look really good down the stretch when it matters the most. So, very impressed with that. Game 4, Minnesota looks really good. Cat had 20 of his 25 points in the second half. Big kitty Cat. Anthony Edwards, 29 points, 10 rebounds. Luka even had 28, 15, and 10. Kyrie was 14 and 0 in closeout games. He's now, after tonight, 15 and 1 in closeout games. So incredible. In this game 5, Luka, Dallas just dominated this game. I think Luka had 20 points in the first quarter. Luka had 20 points in the first quarter. Minnesota had 19. Minnesota had 19 total points. Luka outscored the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first quarter, and they just look really good. Minnesota 19 points first quarter, 21 second quarter. You're not winning the game after that. Luka only finished with 36 and 10. Kyrie only had 4 points after the first quarter. He ended up with 36 total points, so it looked really good balling out. Derek Lively had 9 points. He's back out of the concussion. Gafford 11. PJ Washington only 12 points, 4-9 though. This Dallas team, they look really good. It's a toss-up. This is a toss-up series. Really no rooting interest. Don't know. Don't know who's gonna win this. Boston is favored in this series right now. Boston minus 285 in this series. Dallas plus 185. I would lean towards the Celtics right now in this series. You get a little more rest. It was vital that the Mavericks won this game in 5 games. You did not want to go extend this series all the way until Saturday, and then you play Thursday. You wanted that full week of rest, and Dallas got it. I think that's huge, getting a full week like that. And Boston just been chilling for a couple extra days. Really, who needs a ring more? I feel like Jason Tatum's legacy. He needs a ring more. Luka, Kyrie, they're already submitted as kind of some of the best of all time. It would drastically shoot Luka up the ladder of all-time greats if he gets a ring. But if people really want to remember Jason Tatum as a great player, as one of the top players in the league the last few years, down the history, I really think he needs a ring. I think Tatum might need a ring more than Luka. I think Luka can go back there. Kyrie's already got his ring in 2016, which was immaculate. That's one of the greatest. That's the greatest ring of all time. When Cleveland beat Golden State in 2016. But he's been to the finals before a few times. Yeah, I think the Celtics need this ring more. Jason Kidd would go down as a phenomenal coach if he can get a ring with his team after being in, I think, 6th. They're the 6th seed. They weren't even in the 5th seed. They weren't even in the playoffs after the All-Star break. But I think Luka's already one of the greatest of all time up there. Definitely be up there. Will be once his time is said and done. And I think he gets back to the finals. But I think Jason Tatum to kind of reshape what we view of him and how they blew that 2021 series against the Golden State Warriors. and how they just fold in the playoffs, losing last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, going down 3-0 or 0-3 in that one, and then losing Game 7. But I think Tatum and the Celtics need this ring more, just so history can remember them. So let me know who you guys have winning the series. It's too early to say right now, but leaning Boston in this one. I'll be back next week to get my final predictions for this. All right, let's go. Let's stay in the NBA and more in the passing of a legend, Bill Walton, passing away this week from cancer at the age of 71. Literally went out with the Pac-12, the final Pac-12 game of anything, baseball. Literally the final ending of the Pac-12 uh, happened in less than 24 hours. Later, Bill Walton has passed away, so went out with the Pac-12. He was a back-to-back champ at UCLA, going 30-0 in both years. Crazy, 30-0. Drafted number one in the 1979 or 74 draft, 1974 draft. That was 50 years ago. Really, I think this week as well. He was the 77-78 MVP in the NBA and two-time All-Star. Crazy, only a two-time All-Star. I mean, you win the MVP and you only get to be an All-Star twice. He was a two-time NBA champion with Portland in 77, their only championship in history, and then 86 with Boston, one of those great teams. Hall of Famer, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 93. In his NBA career, he only played 468 games, but it lasted forever. His career lasted forever. Played with the Portland, San Diego Clippers, and the Boston Celtics. I'm one of 7 players ever to win the Naismith College Player of the Year and NBA MVP. Even he was 3-time College Player of the Year. He won the Naismith 3 times. It's remarkable stuff. Great man, great TV analyst. He touched the world, man. Watching those stories of how everyone was talking about him this week really brought tears to your eyes and gave you shivers how awesome this man was, and just how how deeply touched he was to everyone that he came across. So RIP to the legend of NBA analyst, craziness, silliness, Bill Walton. So RIP. Let's go into on this day in history. 2007, Rihanna releases her breakthrough album, Good Girl Gone Bad. 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo comes into force, which gives the U.S. 6 new states for the grand total of $15 million. It's a steal right there. 1911, the first Indianapolis 500, Ray Harwin wins driving a Marmon Wasp. No idea what that car looks like, but I'm sure it's pretty sick and will be worth a ton of money today. Happy birthday, Walt Whitman, Gail Sayers, and Clint Eastwood. That's on this day in history, sponsored by Hefner Eye Care. Hefner Eye Care, you can check them out on the web, hefnereyecare.com, or in Oklahoma City. You get those new sunglasses for the summer. Go get those glasses that you need to see. Get your annual eye exam at Hefner Eye Care. All right, some other sports news. We got NCAA softball. It is the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. One of my favorite times of the year. It's really great. You get the 8 best teams of college football after the regional, super regional, and it's awesome. I mean, the facilities, the atmosphere, just remarkable in Oklahoma City. You got a lot to do. And it's just great. It's Oklahoma City put all the money in, the effort in to keep this on location, on this site, where it doesn't rotate, stays in Oklahoma City, and definitely worth it keeping it there. So it's not Oklahoma's fault that they keep winning and they're this good of a program and they get a home field advantage. But I mean, baseball stays in Omaha. I mean, they upgraded their facilities. They put the money in. Oklahoma City put the money in when nobody wanted it. It wasn't making any money. They put in the sweat for that, and they get to keep it. and it is huge for this city and huge for the women. They get a phenomenal stadium. Nowhere else in the world has this kind of stadium and facility to host it, so got to keep it here, in my opinion, in Oklahoma City. At least until someone shows that they can afford to bring it out there and make money off that. But it should stay in Oklahoma City. Phenomenal work that has been doing. Phenomenal site location for the last couple decades. All right. Uh, Started Thursday. So we got a few games in the books. Had a little rain delay in the beginning. So still got some games going on right now, I believe, as I'm doing this. And it is 11 p.m. at night that I'm doing this. So still games going on, and stinks for this women, but show must go on. OU getting in here, the number 2 seed total, they dominated. They have a winning record now of 19 straight postseason wins. 19 straight. That's clearly an NCAA record. The number 1 seeded Texas survived in their super regional against Texas A&M, almost blew it. Looked good in their first game getting into the Women's College World Series. Some of these first games that we had, UCLA, number 6 seed UCLA defeated number 14 seeded Alabama 4-1. Number 2 Oklahoma defeated number 10 Duke 9-1. Duke took a 1-0 lead, and people are like, "Uh-oh, trouble's brewing there." And Oklahoma just 3 2-run home runs. Texas, number 1 seed Texas, defeating number 8 Stanford 4-0. And then right now, top of the 7th, as I'm going live right now, number 5 Oklahoma State is trailing number 4 Florida 1-0. So this looks like Oklahoma State could be down to the last 3 out, so that could go final any minute now, and it looks like it is final. All right, Florida gets the win over Oklahoma State. That is an upset. That is an upset right there. Now we have our losers bracket. Double elimination in Women's College World Series. Love that. I think that's a phenomenal idea. Number 10, Duke. These are Friday. So Friday games. 6 p.m. Central, ESPN. Number 10, Duke faces number 14, Alabama in a win or go home. And then 8:30 p.m. Central, ESPN right after the first game. You get number 5, Oklahoma State versus number 8, Stanford. Did not get to watch any of these games, so don't know who pitched right now. But wow, very surprising. But not too many surprises. The Oklahoma State game was a surprise. Oklahoma, Texas. Kind of thought Texas would be in a little more trouble, especially with the National Player of the Year, Najari Kennedy, and Stanford was pitching first game. So this bracket, UCLA and Oklahoma will face off Saturday at 3 p.m. Central on ABC. Texas versus Florida will face off Saturday at 7 p.m. Central on ESPN. And then we got the loser games first. I already went over those. And then loser, let's see. So loser of Oklahoma versus Alabama will play the winner of Duke versus Alabama. The loser of Oklahoma versus UCLA will play the winner of Duke versus Alabama. And then the loser of Florida and Texas will face the winner of Stanford versus Oklahoma State. And those will be on Sunday. So top of the bracket goes first, Sunday at 3 p.m. Central, and then the bottom bracket, 7 p.m. Central on ESPNU. Wow. So, crazy bracket. There's a lot going on in this bracket, but got first set out of the way. So, day 1, done. On to day 2 with the losers. Win or go home. So, exciting for the Women's College World Series right there. I thought the top side was a little easier for Oklahoma. I think it really does play out to their play out to their hand. I mean, you get a 10-seeded Duke, a 6-seeded UCLA, and a 14-seed Alabama. UCLA's been there. UCLA's pretty good, but I mean, still pretty easy competition comparatively to what Oklahoma went through. Bottom half, I mean, you got Texas, Stanford, Oklahoma State, and Florida. That is a top-heavy bracket on the bottom. That is a really good four set of teams. Any of those teams can make it to the national championship. I'm serious. Any of those four teams can make it. Even Oklahoma State and Stanford, who lost the first game, they each have a chance at making it, in my opinion. I really thought Stanford would give Texas a little more trouble with Kennedy pitching. Maybe she didn't pitch. I have not seen that, so I not been on my phone at all today watching that, but Texas looked good, 4-0 win. Oklahoma looked great. I think those are your two favorites. I mean, those are your 1 and 2 seeds. Those are your two favorites to get to the final. And they don't have to face each other until the championship. If that were to happen, that'd be a rematch of last year's or 2 years ago championship. So it would be a fun rematch and rivals, and also both going to the SEC. So that'd be fun. For my disappointing team, I really thought it would be. I could still say Texas. They got to face Florida now, and they have to face one of those three teams again. And I think those three teams are still really good. So my disappointing team would be Texas, just because I don't think they make the national championship. Which just how they looked against Texas A&M, which was not a great team. And I just think they disappoint. And a disappointment is not reaching the Natty. If you're the number 1 seed overall and you're not reaching it, that is a huge disappointment. So that's my disappointing team. Underrated. I said it before looking at this. Florida. I thought Florida could definitely make a good run at this, and beating a Oklahoma State team, even though Florida was ranked higher, still underrated team going in. And then I think Stanford could still make some noise if they really wanted to. So that's kind of my underrated teams. And my champion, got to go Oklahoma, especially how they looked this first game, and who they get to play. They get a much easier schedule, and you get the home crowd. And they've been in this situation before. They've won 3 straight national championships. This is easy for them. This is easy to go into your home city and get a 4-peat against with this home crowd behind you for sure, and that you've been there for so long, especially with the greatest softball coach of all time, Patty Gasso. So that's my picks for the Women's College World Series. Some other news in the sports world. Angel Hernandez retiring after 3 decades at behind home plate as an umpire, the worst umpire of all time. So good riddance to him. Glad he's retiring. And then charges against Scotty Scheffler have been dropped. Another video came out basically saying Scotty was caught on the hot mic saying, yeah, the guy didn't even say that he was a cop. He just said, roll down your window, get out of the car. So the whole Louisville PD situation is just ridiculous. Way more internal investigation into that department. Just embarrassing for, cops all over the country and just the taxpayers who pay that. So, Scotty Scheffler charges getting dropped, rightfully so there. And then a little golf this week in the RBC Canadian Open. First, just want to say, rest in peace to Grayson Murray, man. Incredibly sad. You got to check on people. You don't know what they're fighting. You don't know the battles they fight, and it's just extremely sad, and it just hurts, man. 30-year-old man on the PJ Tour, winning tournaments, deciding that he'd rather take his own life. So wish he could have got the help that he deserved and needed. And if you see anyone struggling, man, reach out. Always people to help. So rest in peace to Grayson Murray, man. Died way too soon. We got the RBC Canadian Open this weekend. Hamilton Country Club, Ontario, Canada, with the purse of $9.4 million. Who could forget last year Nick Taylor defeating Tommy Fleetwood in the rain in the playoff? That was really awesome to watch. That was fun. The home Canadian Nick Taylor, so the whole crowd was with him. They were rooting for Nick Taylor. He got the win last year. Not favored that well this week. The top favorites in this one, you got Rory at plus 330. Second, you have Tommy Fleetwood at plus 1,800. That is a huge difference in odds for 1 and 2. See Thagala at plus 2,000 coming at third. And then rounding out the top 5 are Shane Lowry and Cam Young at plus 2,200 for this weekend. Kind of my underrated for have not looked at the scoreboard yet. Go over that after I get my overrated, underrated, and top 10 locks. But I've not had time to look or watch any of this Canadian Open, but definitely will be this weekend. My underrated, I got Matt Kuchar. I think he does pretty good from where he's standing at the odds. Sam Burns, he's sixth. Got the sixth best odds at 2,500. So still think he does pretty good. JJ Spawn, the second to last odds in the whole field. He's predicted to get the second worst overall score. I'm taking him, man, at plus 15,000. 15,000. I think he's going to do a little better than second to worst, JJ Spawn. Akshay Bhatia, I think he gets back into contention. It's been a while since he's kind of been at the top since he got his win. But I think he kind of smooths out and gets in for a pretty good finish this weekend. And then Mark Hubbard at plus 8,000. So these are some great odds, I think, that have a high chance at least finishing pretty high on Sunday. My overrated, I'm going Corey Connors. Tied for the 8th best odds at 2,500. Just Canadian, don't really see it. He hasn't done great most of the season. I'm actually going to fade Shane Lowry in this one. He's got the, like I said, 3rd best odds at plus 2,200. I don't know. He's hot or cold, man. It's kind of just no in between. I mean, he's either hot or cold. No in between there. I just feel cold this week. Cam Young's got the 5th best odds, kind of fading him as well. Alex Noren, 7th best odds. Who's heard of this guy? I've heard of him, but obviously he has not had that many great finishes. He's at plus 2,500, so definitely staying away from him. And then Adam Scott on value as the 9th favorite in this field. I was kind of playing him the last few weeks. Didn't like what I saw. I mean, did not have great finishes, great rounds, and gonna stay away from him this week. So got a lot. All top 10 guys I got in the odds makers books. I'm fading them. I'm not picking them. And then my top 10 locks, I'm going Heath Thagala plus 2,000. Tommy Fleetwood, obviously, second in this field, plus 1,800. And then who can go against Rory in these kind of tournaments when there's no major involved, going Rory. And then lastly, Nick Taylor, baby, come on. Remake of last year. He's at plus 7,000, which is surprising to me. Hasn't played great, but it's his tournament, and give me Nick Taylor getting a top 10 lock. All right, now let's look at the leaderboard real quick. Wow, who is this guys? David Skins, currently the leader at 8 under. Sean O'Hare and Sam Burns at 7 under. You got Rory at 4 under. Rory's the biggest name up there, and he's tied for 6th. You got Netflix's Full Swing, Joel Damon at 3 under. Tommy Fleetwood at 3 under. Wow, those are the biggest names up there in contention right now. Cam Young at 2 under. Cam Young at 1 under. Wow. And then Corey Connors 1 under. Adam Scott, Mark Hubbard, Gary Woodland, JJ Spawn, all at even. Let's see. Wow. Nick Taylor at plus 2. Shane Power at plus 2. Shane Lowry at plus 2. So yeah, pretty crazy tournament going on. Not a bunch of big names on the leaderboard. So gonna have some great next 3 days to build back up. But that's the RBC Canadian Open. Let me know who you guys have winning in Canada, in Ontario this weekend. Should be a great tournament. All right, let's go into who I'm sharing my burger and brat butterflies. Share my burger and brat butterflies. If they're allowed to eat that, can they eat that? We'll have to test it out. So we finally know how they get those vibrant colors on their wings. The University of Sheffield and Central Laser Facility work revealed that actin, a protein in butterfly scales, orchestrates the intricate arrangement of the colorful structures. So the colorful scales had denser actin build bundles, creating more reflective ridges. So the more actin, the more reflective and vibrant colors they have on their wings. They observed if the actin is dismantled or drastically altered, though, the colors faded right before the eyes. Dr. Andrew Parnell says actin is basically like a dressmaker, laying out these structures to shape vibrant colors. And once the actin has finished its work, it departs the cells like a removal of pins in dressmaking. The study also helps create opportunities for developments in medicine, cell structure, and a whole host of other technologies, being able to study the actin and how it helps get the vibrant color on the wings. So share my burger and brat with butterflies and their vibrant colors. Bet you guys didn't know that one. The actin helps with vibrant colors. So, all right, that's my podcast. NBA finals are set. Basketball season basically over. Those start next Thursday, so we'll be back to break all that down and then have a Women's College World Series champ by the time the next pod rolls around. So thank you all for listening. Make sure to follow the podcast on any platform, any streaming service, literally anywhere. You get your podcast at Burgers and Brats. Stay up to date with latest news on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Hopefully, you just watch on millions.co and check out the podcast website, burgersbratspodcast.com. Go order your merch today. Thank you all for listening. Take care. Stay safe.